Hey, Matty, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, I think at this point, yeah, we can get started. Who else is on the call? Let me go through the list and see. So, Code AJ, note taker. So, we'll just basically have a quick session around Supabase and what it entails, and all that. So, let me start the recording right now. Why I share my screen. Okay, so I think at this point we can. So, hope you can see my slide at your end. Right? At you. Okay. Thank you. So today we'll be looking at getting started with Supabase for your application backend. Last week, we learned about using Lovable in building an app. So this week, yeah, we'll be looking into how Supabase can help us extend the functionality of our app. So last week, we were able to introduce Supabase, but we were kind of limited in how we get to use it. So I mentioned this week we'll be having an in-depth session on Supabase and what it entails. Uh, Supabase is a backend as a service framework. So outline of what we'll be looking at today. What is Supabase? When should you use Supabase and why? Supabase features, we'll be looking at auth, database, storage, edge functions, and then conclusion, basically, and questions. So for a start, what is Supabase? Supabase is a back-end as a service solution that offers real-time, scalable back-end tools, making it much easier to build your back-end. So basically, an application consists of a front end, which is what the user see and interact with, which is on the user computer, and then there is a back end, which is on the server. So that back end is responsible for certain actions, mostly authentication. Authentication is when the user gets to sign in. Storing of data, like, okay, for example, we built a movie review app last week, which, by the way, the recording from the last session is on YouTube. We built a music review app. So the music reviews now, I think it's movie, yeah, movie review app. And the movie reviews need to be stored somewhere so that when the user log out and log in later on, they'll be able to see their review. They'll be able to see a review of other users. And that's what the back end basically handles. So when should you use Supabase and why? So when to use Supabase, you need it's when you need a quick and easy way to set up a back end. Okay. So when you're building an application and you need a back end real quick. And basically it's an easy way because most times a real application back end involves you writing a lot of code. First, I think most usually you have to write the code for authentication, authorization. You configure, okay, which apples are you using? Are you using JWT? Are you handling authentication through sessions? So most times you have to have a backend engineer that will handle all that, make or determine how it will work. But the reality is that many of us are working alone. Then what we are when we are building our product, there's a high chance we are building it alone with our friends. And basically, back end is something that can be quite large. Boils down to your use case, though. A basic code back end for a blog app, for example, now, which doesn't involve authentication, it just store and show, might be relatively easy to those with experience. But there are some back end here that, okay, the logic might involve, okay, you need to communicate with AI, there are different services involved and all that. You being this solo dev or you and just a couple of friends building a product, that's might be quite cumbersome. So backend as a service, basically Supabase in this instance can help with that. So the second reason you are a solo dev or part of a small to mid-sized team building an MVP or aiming to ship fast. That's another reason you get to use Supabase. Usually now with the advent of AI, there are lots of independent product builders. Okay, there are lots of independent product builders and all that. You know, and usually you might need to get to market real quick, instead of taking time, that selecting, I need to use Go here, or possibly, okay, I need to use Express, set up AWS, set up an EC2 instance, set up S3, all those setup required for backend. But with Supabase, you can really get up with it real quick. Matthew, go ahead, please. Your hand is up.
Okay. I was trying to say that what does a solo developer means?
Okay, a solo developer in this instance refer to when you are building a product majorly owned by yourself. Ideally, it's big companies that build software and release it. It's companies. And companies will employ multiple people for different areas. There will be a back-end developer, there will be a front-end developer, there will be somebody responsible for design. But let's say you now that is okay, you are building. There's a good chance that okay, currently now you are a designer transitioning into development. There's a high chance that okay, you have a good design of an app, but you want to build it and try it out, but you don't have money to give a dev to help you possibly the back end and all that. You after you are done building the front end, with Supabase you can easily attach a back end to it. Okay. So when we refer to solo developer, it means okay, you're the one handling everything. Okay, and then also the third reason your backend needs don't require complex or high performance setup. So in this instance, yeah, I think Supabase can scale. Basically, it just increase your pricing. But there are situations whereby there are certain applications that require high performance. E.g. now, building a game with Supabase is possible, but the cost is difficult. So in some, let's say, multiplayer game that is played through the internet, in such instance, it's advised that okay, you need to have a costume backend for it, costume backend with socket and all that all set up. You know, so there are certain situations whereby you just need to create a costume backend, write it in your favorite programming language, create a database if there's a need for it, set up socket connection here and there and all that for real time accessibility. So in such situations, there's no two way about it. You need a costume backend for it. But majority of our use case, majority of the ideas that a lot of people are coming up, there's a way in which you can afford to get to market fast because that's the advantage that a lot of tools we are talking about nowadays offer us. Get to market real quick. Supabase can basically help you in doing that. So why Supabase? Supabase offers you an SQL database, authentication, file storage, and edge function to get you up and running with a back end for your application. Okay. So Supabase can help you. Okay. An application consists of many things. When the user sends a message to another user, usually stored in a database. When I send a picture to someone else, it's stored on a file. You're not storing it in the database, stored in a storage. I want to sign in, sign out. That is authentication. That is what is called authentication. And then there's edge functions. Edge functions is usually a feature provided by is usually provided by backend, because there's not in this backend as a service piece. It's not just Supabase that is there. There's also Firebase and Convex. So edge functions, they usually provide in a way whereby it helps you to perform like custom tasks. Okay, when the user submit their need, I want AI to do so, 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 and so, and generate so, 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 and so for them. In such situations now, you use an edge function to write that instruction using JavaScript. And then that instruction now will be pinging the AI. Okay. So edge function helps with that. Let's say you build an application and what again? There's something that should be done, but it's not storing, it's not saving a file, and necessarily it's not authentication. In such situation now, an edge function will help with that. Okay. So now we'll be going over to Supabase features. And at this point, we'll be demoing, we'll be having a demo of Supabase. Okay, a live demo of Supabase whereby we'll create a Supabase project and also connect it with an app. So in order to make it fast, we'll be using Lovable to create the app at this point. So various Supabase features, you have authentication, which I call all for short. So we set up a functioning email and password authentication. We'll set up a database, we'll create a dummy database. But given we'll be using Lovable, Lovable will handle that for us. And then storage, possibly our application might need something whereby user will be uploading the images. So the beauty of using an AI builder at this point is that we can afford to do all this real quick. If not, if I'm to write all this code, it might take us even 1 hour is the constraint of this call. We might just have to extend it to another day. So, but given we'll be using an AI builder which works perfectly with Supabase, we'll have this all good running minutes. And also, if you want to use it locally, I also talk about it. How to run it locally on your PC. So next is storage. Storage is used for storing files. You know, files in this case can be your image. It can be okay. You want your user to record a voice note and send to another user. Storage can do that for you. And there's a way you handle it with how do they call it? It's a database. Okay, there's also edge functions. I'm not sure if we'll be, but let's get to it though. So at this point, I'll stop sharing the screen and share a window completely. Yeah, I might need to share my entire screen. So hope you can see my screen, right? So let's go to Supabase. Supabase.com. Okay, let me sign in. Okay. Right and click on your GitHub stuff. I think I was signing to this account recently, so then click on start a project. So I've already created an organization, QDT. But let's say we are creating an organization. So an organization is used, so it implies, just as the name implies, is basically for organizing the projects under an organization. Like, so imagine it's a company has different project and all that. So you can afford to add someone to an organization, they'll be able to access the project, vice versa and all that. So let's say there's a developer that wants to do something else using your organization. I'll go to add it now. go ahead. So this organization, we'll be calling it uh what's the name of the group? So Sekita Devs. Okay, so this organization, let's call it educational free. So and also another key feature of Superbase is like it has tiers. The $25 per month is when okay, you have tested your app, you find out that okay, people are loving this, and all that. I want to get into production, you just pay $25 per month. And the reality is that Superbase can afford you an opportunity to test your idea. You feel that okay, if I build so and so, there are people in my community that will buy. So it's $5 won't be anything. So far, you have customers that have tested it and they are like, okay, you'll gladly pay the $25, knowing that at the end of the month, more revenue will be in and you can afford to pay. But for this test, we'll be going for the free tier. Okay, great organization. So let's create a project. Let me say test project. And also in Superbase, you're limited to 2 free projects under each email account. Okay, so for the database, suggest strong password. Let me use strong password and then region. Any region works, not an EU. So usually get to think about this region because only when you are already scaling and you can afford to change it later on. I think so. Yeah. There is also security options and also advanced configuration. But I think you can afford to ignore it. Okay. So let's just click on creating new project. So as you can see, our test project is up and running. And basically that is it. And all the features I mentioned, this is a database, okay? Table editor. And see, we don't have any table. So a quick one on SQL. SQL is a relational database, yeah? So let me click on this and say SQL is programming language. Yeah, it's more like a query language for really interacting with a database. And this database now, for example, in Supabase is Postgres SQL. Where is it written? Maybe I can access it. Let me see. But SQL is a language that basically is used to interact with what is called relational database. Relational database are those type of database that based on tables. So imagine, okay, for those that are staffs now, when you're in the office, for those still taking manual record and stuff. Or imagine Excel. Yeah, I think Excel is something everybody here has seen. So set it. But this time you are writing code to interact with the data. So you can say, okay, select a user where the user name is e.g. Matthew, e.g. Hanifa, and stuff like that. So basically with code now you have more room for manipulating the data whichever way you want. And basically thinking about it, putting your mindset into that scope, you'll find out that applications are built based on data being manipulated. Okay, e.g. WhatsApp, for example, when you send a message, it's stored somewhere. When the other user turned on their data, it's pushed down to their device. Yeah, it's called notification. It's pushed down to their device, and basically the user can say, okay, um, you chat, it goes to the database, it comes down to the other user, and basically you can send message back and forth and all that. So that is the power of data manipulation, in this instance SQL. So this is the SQL editor. If you are versed in SQL and you want to use the SQL query to write it. So today we are not looking into SQL, but let's see. Let's see how it goes. We will be and then also there's the authentication section where your users will be registered and all that. And for to even set rate limit, attack protection and all that. So this handles, let me put it in simple terms, sign in and sign out for the users, like users signing up and signing in to your application, also signing up. So Supabase offers that, and then we also have storage. Storage is you storing your files. So let's say you want to build an app that allows users to store a PDF, store, save a image, save a video. Supabase can afford you with that. And basically all your files are organized into buckets. I can say bucket is the equivalent of something like a directory, although it's not exactly a directory. It has the ability to configure roles to it. Is it a directory? I don't know yet. Like I can't really say there's an argument behind it if it's really a directory and all that. But buckets is used in organizing your files. So let's say user profile pics can be in a single bucket. Yeah. Another bucket can handle images that uploaded in the chat. Okay. Another bucket can possibly handle, let's say you are logging, maybe logging on the front end now. Uploading, I don't know. So let's say you're asking the users to upload certain files. Okay, you're registering them for some time, you want to organize it. Another bucket can be handling that files. So that's the power of bucket. And then we also have edge functions. Edge functions, I've mentioned it. It's basically a function that is serverless. So you call it, it does something for you and comes back. So let's say you can create an edge function to send users notification. That's possible. I think that works. You can set an edge function. Okay, once this user does something, there's something that will take time. You can just set an edge function. It should be handling on the side when while the user goes on with what they are doing. Why the edge function is handling it on the server. So that is the power of edge function. Also, finally, real-time support. Real-time is basically used for things that, let's say, okay, I mentioned a user send a message, it gets to the DB, but we, on a typical application, the user have to refresh before they see the message, reload. But the power of real time affords in cases whereby data gets up there and can still come back, you know, to the other user's device or basically can be broadcasted. That's the power of real time. Okay. So real time affords you, in simple terms, the ability to listen to changes on the server. Okay, so the server will notify you if there's something. Once you are subscribed, okay, you are listening. If there's anything that you're subscribed to and you want to know if it happens, yeah, so that the user and something will change, real time affords you that luxury. Because a typical database won't do that by itself. So Supabase has something to help with that. And that's called real time. Okay. So at this point, yeah, um I can afford to create a table to get started. But you know what? Let's use lovable. Lovable.dev. So let's ask lovable to help create a really cool uh, intuitive, intuitive. I don't know why I like using that word today. So a really cool intuitive movie review forum where the user can sign in, post, create review, and share. Also, other users should be able to comment on a review. So let's try this and see if it will come up with something. Concrete. I haven't logged in yet. We can get started. Sign in, continue with Google. Quickly continue. So what we are trying to do is build a movie review site. And from the knowledge here, whichever application you are working on at the moment, With Supabase, you can easily get it to basically be fully functional, aka full stack. Skip this. Now let me paste what I wrote initially on it. So let's give it a moment to start it. So what I'm trying to do is once this is done, I can afford to connect Supabase and have it everything up and running. Also, I want to show you how, because usually mention the knowledge is always essential. So the reality is that the code, you need to know how it works. So I'll also show you some part of the code whereby you need to look out for things like you need to observe. So for example, you go start is the EMV5. EMV5 is where the key that will connect you to your Supabase DB. So let's say you want to connect to Supabase now. Okay, click on this connection. So it supports various applications. Yeah. So this is a direct connection, usually using IPv4. This is kind of complicated, except for those doing back end. I'm not really seeing into it. So I'm really exposing app framework keys. I'm exposing keys, but this is a dummy project. Let me take it for what it is. Or just hope that someone will not copy it. So you see this key here? This is the life of our project. So it supports various framework, Remix, React. So React is a project that Lovable is building for us. Vue.js, Svelte, and all that. So you get to determine. So let's say I know it supports. You want to use mobile frameworks, e.g. React Native, Flutter, Ionic Swift, Kotlin, whichever you want to support. So the same thing applies. You want to use ORMs like Prisma. So Supabase has a wide array of support for different frameworks. I just show the key, so I have to delete this project immediately we are done. So that someone will not copy B for me because you need to be careful. Those stuff you just saw are kind of really sensitive. You should never show anybody like on the internet. Because they can, if they get the key now, Supabase will grant them access to your project data. So that is also a good thing to take note of. So I think at this point here, this project was built with support to connect Supabase because of the I added okay, user should be able to comment and review and all that. So what I'm trying to achieve is this time the movie review app, I'll create a post and want you guys to see it on your end. Also, you can afford to create a post. You can also afford to sign up. Let's wait for the UI to build. Then once that's done, whatever is missing, we'll just fix it. And majorly we'll be focusing on Supabase integration. So that those on the call now can afford to send a chat on the app will just build and just interact with it and prove that it works. So you get the knowledge in case you're also building your own stuff. It's coming up. Right. So why this is building is what did I just do? I was trying to swipe away, see if there's anybody. I need to refresh the full page.
Sorry, is it from my side or am I the only one that like I'm not hearing anything?
Okay, what about now? Can you hear me?
Okay, yeah, yeah, clear. That is clear.
Yeah, I
Okay,
can hear you now.
okay. So, why is the application taking time to build? So let's go ahead and connect Supabase. Okay, so this is the process. You click on the Supabase icon up here. Click on connect Supabase. Connect Supabase. Authorize API access. So basically, we grant access to Lovable. Then we'll select the organization we'll created. We set it at devs. Click on authorize Lovable. So this is us approving that okay, Lovable should be able to access our project and do what it wants. Then next, after granting it access to the organization, I told you you can also grant your friend, let's say you have another developer that wants to work with you, you can grant them access to your organization, even though for that you'll be doing it from here. Okay. So click on continue, then click on this project, test project. That is what you're trying to connect. Click on connect. So, and in case you haven't created a project here, you're not seeing the project you want to use, you can afford to create another project directly from Lovable to take it to the Supabase site. So at this point, test project is connected. So if we go back now, so I decided to go ahead with connecting it. Come to your blank app, start building. Okay. And also I mentioned to you, okay, I'll be showing you something on this coding side. So now Supabase, look, there's a Supabase folder created by the AI here. So it contains our configuration in accessing Supabase with the project ID. All these things are quite risky. You should not show your project ID also in public. It's kind of risky. So currently, I think the AI is okay. You haven't created any tables in your project yet. So now we'll ask you to create the project, to create the tables. I told you the application when you are dealing with SQL especially is based on tables. So there will be a table for managing user details. There will be another table for possibly handling the reviews. So for the tables to handle a review, what does a review contain? It contains a title, it contains a description. Possibly you want to add likes. It will also be a column in a table and all that. So let's say integrate Supabase into the application. So the reason why the law people went ahead with trying to integrate Supabase on the go is the fact that I didn't give it much details. And I told you when you are prompting, if you're looking out for certain things, let's say you want only a page without backend, there is that okay. But I told you to enable login and all that, but I didn't give it much details like how I put it. Okay, you should enable me to view some part. You should possibly use a dummy data until I create a Supabase connection and all that. So for now, let's say integrate Supabase into the application, which will enable the user to sign up or sign in with a review. So this the reason why I'm merging all is with Lovable, you are limited to the number of credits you have in a day is limited. I think 5. So let's not squander our credit before achieving our goals. Okay. So create a review and also have other users comment on it. Others signed in users with S comment comments uh, comment on it. Uh, Also, job here rating. So movie review site usually have rating. So after doing this, let's say at this point, Lovable will take charge. It will come up with all the tables, handle the authentication. What else? And necessarily the real time basically back and forth when the user is chatting. So when I send a message, you on your end will be able to see it without necessarily refreshing the page. So create table, this is what is called SQL, structured query language. So as you can see, this is for creating table. And it's much like English, to be honest with you. If you look at it real good. So this creates a table. The table is called profile. Usually this public dot is not really necessary, but it's AI that is writing it, okay? So the table has an ID, username, full name, avatar URL. It's created at and updated at with the primary key. Primary key ensure that, okay, is this ID that we'll use to search for users. So for example, now for those in higher institution, they don't look for you using your first name because there's a high chance that somebody is bearing your first name. Usually they look for you using your matric number. Or they'll say, okay, match you with matric number, so and so. So then there's another table for handling the reviews, just as I stated, the movie title, poster URL, and all that. So this poster, I think something we can do there later on is allow the user to upload poster. I don't know how it will implement it, but I guess it came up with a right query. Let's click on apply changes. So currently, as you can see, if you click on table, it's empty. Okay, it's coming up. I think it has already created it. Why is it saying it? I don't understand. I'll create a complete movie review form with authentication, review creation, and commenting functionality. So now it will handle linking it by creating the necessary hooks and also the form. So let's see what it will come up with. So that's the advantage of vibe coding sometimes. So on the long run, what we'll be doing is just to make fixes here and there by being able to demonstrate what we want. And then for those, you probably want to know how it works. When you export your code, yeah, that is when you now see the source code, like, and be able to test it locally on a machine. I think we'll be doing that on this call, yeah. So that we export it locally and then open it and possibly run it offline. Let's give it a moment, please. I don't know what's delaying. I think it's still the AI that is supposed to send us. As you can see, it's changing. If you want to see what it's doing, I think you can click on the code view and see how it's thinking. A lot of things it's doing. I think this thinking usually can help you in knowing what each code does in your code base. So at this point, it's done. Edited 12 files, 7 changes. So I think it will update the UI at this point. And then we should be having two free credit. So as you can see, two free credit. I don't know why it's not. There's an error somewhere here. And this is a type error. So this is what I say you need to have the knowledge. So this error now, as it stands for what I'm saying, there's a good chance it will affect us signing in or creating an account. Let me click on sign up. Let me see Anthony. Let me enter my email at gmail.com. Let me enter my password. I click on sign up. So check your email to verify. So this is how Supabase authentication works. First, you check your email, verify, and then click on confirm your mail. As you can see, it will redirect us to our project. Write a movie review. I don't know why it's not taking us the forum. This is not what I was expecting. It's not loading review also. So now that we have signed up, you can see the app is up and running, but the review card is not showing up. So let's ask it to fix this error. Hope it can do that on one take. If it doesn't, our credit is gone for the day. And then the last query will just be to complete it. Like just as you can see, sign up happened. And to verify that the sign up happened, let's go to authentication. You'll see my email there. So let's say I share the link with you after I publish it. You should be able to sign up. But for yet, let me try to fix this error. I hope it solves it on one take so that we'll have an extra credit to finish the app. So we should do it. Then I hope it works. I just hope it works without error this time. So what we'll be adding next will just be a landing page, and users being able to. Well, we need to verify that other reviews. And users being able to see other reviews. See other users' reviews because that's the essence of the app. You post the review, someone else sees it, comments on it, and all that. So I think there's an error. Shouldn't be the same thing. Why is it doing this? Now this is the problem with using AI. You're unsuccessful. So let me sign in. Something real quick. If only I knew, I shouldn't have passed that error to you. So ensure you add a landing page, a really cool landing page. Also use a sidebar on desktop and a bottom. I want to create responsiveness now. Bottom nav bar on mobile to organize the review viewing application process. Process and what again? Aside review. I'll ask you to fix the error. Let's see if it can do it this time also. Fix the error with review card and ensure other users other signed in users of the app can see reviews and comments on it. So let's run it and see. Okay, so currently it's working. Let's see. Okay, so it's kind of writing, and I told you you can afford to see the thoughts if you want to. So, and one way we can afford to fix the error we are getting would be possibly telling the AI to ensure, like, possibly he has the right to recreate the review card. You can't fix it, creating the review card, and ensure that, okay, the structure of the review fits what's on the back end. So it's still writing. So it's creating the bottom navigation bar. So bottom navigation bar, WhatsApp, that navigation at the bottom of your screen. So for the sake of responsiveness, if you're on mobile, the website of the app will be creating appear that way. If you're on desktop, it will appear with sidebar. So that's what the whole idea of responsiveness is all about. So I gave the AI the right to handle that. Okay, so it's creating the index page. Let me upload the memory files. So I hope it works this time. Should reload everything I see. Please work, please work, please work. As you can see, this voice call is sidebar. You can click here to write deploy screen build and successful. Why? Still the same issue with the review card. It's not fair. What I'll do is I'll copy this. It's not loading any review. Let me try to create a review. Hello, you watch mission impossible? We post that URL. So at this point, I wanted it to work on uploading the movie poster to Supabase. Let me ask it. I'm sure it can do it with this one free credit that is left. So a text input for movie poster URL. Make it possible for the user to upload a movie poster. And fix this error open it requires rewriting the files type to match the DB, the database structure. So let me run it and see. This is our last credit for today. So if it works, fine. If it doesn't, we'll publish it that way. Okay, so I just hope it works. Don't have intention of paying through this account. Oh, damn. I can't apply changes because my credit is gone. Should have done this already. Okay. So I think we have hit a roadblock for today. But if I apply these changes, it would have continued the support the other queries. And then fix the error. But at this point, let me see. Hello test description. Because naturally thinking about it, it doesn't make sense for the user to be uploading URL. Poster URL optional. So let's rate it for publish. It successfully published, but it can't show because of the error, I think so. Need to load the reviews. The reviews won't show. But let's publish the code and publish. So if I copy this link now and I paste it on the chat, if I copy this link, I paste it on the chat and you click on it on your end, you should be able to like see the application. So let me open it here. Sign review. This landing page is not one looking really good. Also, AI really likes purple. Also, the fonts can be worked on. And then regarding GitHub, yeah, I don't have GitHub on this account. Maybe GitHub is on the other account. So let me click on. I won't be using GitHub here. On GitHub. Let me try to download the code. So use the code editor and it's upgrade to premium plan. It's not fair. I want to download the project. So I go about it. Okay, so what I'm trying to achieve is to download the project. But right now, I don't understand. Seems like they won't allow us to download it. Initially, it's possible to download from Lovable. Like export your project as zip. Currently, since GitHub is the only option, I don't have a GitHub account here. So if you notice, let's go to the DB. You find out that on the reviews table, why is there no users table here? What's going on? There's supposed to be a users table for storing user details here, so that the user will be able to set their profile and all that. So you can see the movie title we created is basically on a table. I made sure it looks like Excel. Okay. So now if we want to fetch it, it will be like select where select everything. You can also select everything to return all the movie reviews. Okay, you want to manipulate it, and do stuff. And here is the comments table. This is where comments should be stored at. I can continue as it stands. And I don't have GitHub connected to this. I need to GitHub here. Should I try it? Midnight. So usually if you have your GitHub connected, I demonstrated this last week. You found out that the code is on your GitHub and then you can take it locally, basically offline. So let me try to sign into my GitHub, my Backend account here. And then the password is on ever. Use authenticate.com. Income. So let me connect it. So let me just export it locally and then we get to see the code. And connect it project, continue, connect. So you can see it has been created. Let me click on view. So this is how you get to export. So here is the code. I was waiting. It's 2 minutes ago and all that. So this is how you basically get to export it. Next up now, let's take it locally. So in order to get your code locally after you have connected it, I think you can afford to download a zip if you want to. If you don't want to, you can copy the link and use git clone. So to use this git clone alternative, let me create a new desktop and then open VS Code. So let me pick this desktop here. Window. Okay, so you can say, okay, let's download this zip. That should be faster. Yeah. Given the network requirement, we can also use our terminal. Click on new terminal if you have VS Code installed. So now Git. The reason why I'm able to use this command is that I have Git installed. So Git is basically a way for us to get our code directly from GitHub down locally. So I can say git clone, paste the URL that I copied. Also, you can afford to download the zip if you want. It's here. So whichever approach, let me open it for you to see. You can see it here. It has been unzipped. Once I unzip it, if I use this git clone command, it creates basically clone it. If I download it manually, I can say, okay, open folder. I say open folder, go to here's the download folder. Here's the project. Now click on open. So you can say this is our code basically, but currently it won't run locally except we install, a normal React project, which you will have to say yarn install and set up your env file. So that's another thing before we finally get to call it a day. But not for the day because we have exceeded our time. So let's go to the code mode. So if you remember earlier, I said the key here is something config.storm project ID. So this is a query with Supabase. So in order to set up Supabase, you usually need to create an a.env file. So go ahead, please, Matthew.
So, I, I,
I can hear you.
yeah, I said for the cloning, to download clone, if you want to clone it on your desktop, is there any special command that you are going to command it to? Because I can see that there is no download space on, it's only the zip file and then maybe download it manually. But
Yeah.
if you want to clone it on
Um,
GitHub,
if you want to clone it on GitHub, can you see my screen?
yes, I can see.
Okay, so you copy the URL here. You will go to your terminal
Yes,
on VS Code. That's why I showed you the earlier example. You can run a command git
okay,
clone,
okay,
paste the URL, as you can see.
okay. Git clone, right?
Yes. Or VS Code also
Okay,
has support for cloning if your profile is connected to VS Code. So you can click on clone, you can paste the URL up here so that it will fetch it from
okay,
you. That's another option instead of git clone. So that's how you can afford to get the code locally. Then when you are done now, the next command you'll be running is yarn install. If you have yarn installed, I think npm install should work. I don't know if it will work. If it won't work, yarn might work. So if you click npm install now, to set up the project, then npm run dev, your project will basically start running. But I don't think we'll have time for that. So with this npm install, you have your project, install the necessary package. And then with npm run dev, we'll be able to run our project from the local server. So that's it about Supabase, yeah, and how to use it with our lovable application. This was based on request, yeah. I think it's by Aldo, if I'm not mistaken. So at this point, yeah, we ending the recording and also the stream. So let me take a quick. Before we do that, please let me take your questions. So let me share this. So any question? Please go ahead. Okay, from what you have done so far, if there's any question, you can please go ahead. I'll stop the streaming at this point.